Most of what I know about economics I learned while working at the Cut Rate Food Market, a small grocery store in my hometown. I started out as a bag boy, but I eventually did almost every job available at the store, from sweeping the floor to running the cash register to driving the delivery van. I saw inequality firsthand, and in the beginning I was just as judgmental as many are today. I assumed the poor were lazy and stupid, and the well-off deserved what they had due to hard work or superior intellect. I remember one incident in particular. I was bagging groceries, and Dot, who owned the store with her husband Melvin, was running the register. One frequent customer, and I mean she was there almost every day, had just purchased several items, including 3 small cans of condensed milk. After she left, I opined, "She's dumber than a bag of hammers. She could have gotten 1 big can for a lot less." Dot gave me the look I would come to know meant there are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. "She doesn't have a refrigerator," Dot said, "or electricity to run it if she did. She uses that milk to make baby formula, and if she opened a big one, it would go bad before she could use it all up. The little ones work a lot better." That's when I started to notice how many of our items that we stocked were in small containers. They were all perishable when opened. It was obvious Dot and Melvin knew their clientele and stocked accordingly. Deliveries were eye-opening too. Not only did many of our customers not have electricity, they didn't have running water either, or screens on their windows and doors. Inside was dark and smelly and filled with flies. There were places I took a deep breath before entering so I wouldn't have to breathe while I was in there. Any light they had came from coal oil lamps if they could afford it, and that's kerosene to you city folks. Several generations often lived together in the same small shack, and I figured out quickly the next generation probably wasn't going to do much better than the one before. That's when it began to dawn on me that where you start out in life has a lot to do with where you end up. There are certainly exceptions to this rule, but it's still a pretty good indicator. I was lucky enough to be working at the Cut Rate when President Johnson's Great Society programs began to kick in. Like Roosevelt's New Deal, it was intended to address economic inequality, and many of the programs were aimed directly at Appalachia, which is where I resided. Conservatives will tell you it was a failure, good money thrown after bad, but I'm here to tell you, from what I observed directly, it was a great success. I saw families go from one-room shacks with dirt floors to public housing that wasn't lavish, but was decent. I saw them alter their buying habits based on their improved circumstances. They looked better and smelled better because they finally had facilities to wash clothes and take a bath. In many cases, they escaped the crushing poverty they had always known and got actual jobs, which lifted their standard of living even higher. The Great Society didn't work for everyone because some people still make poor choices, but many took the chance they were given and ran with it. The most important thing I learned was a hand up is better than a handout, but sometimes the handout has to come first. Back to the woman with the condensed milk. Not explained to me, the young lady in question had been given as a child bride of 13 to a no-account husband by her no-account father. And since birth control wasn't a thing back then, she had 4 kids in 4 years and had to try and scrape by on what little assistance the county threw her way. So maybe I should temper my disdain with a little compassion. She didn't use those words, of course, and the title Mr. Know-It-All may have been applied to me during the conversation, but I learned a lesson that day. A few years later, I was home from college, and I stopped by the Cut Rate to visit with the old crew for a while. While I was talking with Dot, the condensed milk lady came to the checkout counter again. I barely recognized her. She was much cleaner, better dressed, and the haunted look I associated with her was gone. While I watched, she paid for her items, walked out the front door, and got behind the wheel of a car parked out front. It wasn't new, but it wasn't a wreck either. As she drove away, Dot asked, "Do you know who that was?" "Yeah," I said. I barely recognized her. "What happened?" She ran off that no-good husband of hers and moved into the government housing over by the grade school. Then she got her GED, and now she works at Bergline over in Morristown. In short, with a little help, she became a productive member of society, and all her kids eventually did too. I wish I could say that trend continued, but Reagan and each successive Republican administration chipped away at the Great Society program until there's very little left. The jobs created by the economic policies of Roosevelt and Johnson have long since been offshored by greedy, unpatriotic corporations, and the biggest employer in town is Walmart, which pays so badly most of the workers qualify for food stamps. I want to end on an upbeat note, however, because what happened once can happen again. We have the know-how, we just need the will. A 5% tax on the super wealthy would do it. So what the hell are we waiting for?